I've talked on YouTube several times before about how certain suburbs are really like extensions of the neighborhoods of the city that they border. Okay, Maywood is one example of that. Cicero, Berwyn are other examples. Maywood, I really consider to be like an extension of Austin. Berwyn, Cicero, those southwest suburbs, I really consider to be like an extension of maybe not like a back of the yards. They're not quite that hectic, but Marquette Park, something like that. There's gangs there, a lot of Hispanic gangs on the south west side, and then on the west side you got a lot of the black gangs, that you see out west. You see those extending out into Maywood. On the south side, just south of the city, there are some suburbs that are kind of like I would say they're sweeter than others. Okay, Orland Park, those suburbs down there. But then you got other suburbs like Dalton, like Harvey, that really are extensions of Roseland. Okay, from the way that I see it, like the stuff that's going on in Roseland, going on maybe not quite to the exact same extent, but 60-70% of what's going on in Roseland is going on in there. Now, in those suburbs, you have a lot of guys traveling out there to do business too. In the suburbs that you're dealing with a different set of police, and so you got a lot of robberies back and forth. You've got a lot of things going on. Guys traveling back and forth between those suburbs and the city. So Zach TV, for example, was staying in Harvey, and when a lot of people, from the south side say I moved out to the suburbs, people think, oh, good, he's gotten away from the violence now. He's straight. He's safe now. And then they hear about something happening to him, and they're like, oh man, like how could it happen to him? He was out in the suburbs. They must have got the drop. They must have got his. And the whole time it's because suburbs are just as bad, as the city out there. So Dalton is one of the suburbs that's kind of like that. And there was an incident that took place earlier this week where guys actually ran up into a church's gym. This is in the type of environment where you would least expect this type of thing to happen. They're even doing this stuff in church, catching guys in church, man. I mean, not right in the church building itself, but in the gym at a church. And they killed this guy right up in there. He was a 30-year-old guy. I didn't know too much about this guy, and I don't know what this, particularly was about. But the police do not believe that this was a random incident. It was not, from what I know, a robbery. The media is reporting one person was shot and killed inside of a South Suburban gym on Sunday. The shooting happened in the 1200 block of Dante Avenue, according to the Dalton Police Department. One or two masked gunmen entered the gymnasium, which is part of the New Life Celebration of God Church's campus, and they opened fire. Now, from what I've heard, the guy's name was Marcus. I'm going to put his picture up on the screen. He was not affiliated, to my knowledge, with the church. I don't think he was like a pastor or youth leader or anything like that. But the medical examiner later identified that man. And another person suffered a minor laceration while trying to get away. And they're okay, but unfortunately the 30-year-old Marcus did not make it. Police said they do not believe the shooting was random. There is nobody in custody, and police are investigating, and police did not provide any information about the shooting. So rest in peace to Marcus, man. And this is one thing that I really tremble about stuff like this when it happens, because when you hear about stuff happening in situations like that, this is the type of thing that makes guys just want to be strapped everywhere, every single place. Like, guys bring guns to school. In CPS, we used to have kids coming up into the school all the time with guns. And these are not kids that are there to shoot up the school. No, these are kids there in case somebody tries to come up in the school and catch them. And that happens all the time. That happened to Larry Hoover. Larry Hoover got shot in school, right in Parker High School. I think it was 1968. And it's been happening since then, man. So Chicago Public Schools, they got metal detectors, but these churches, obviously, they're not going to have metal detectors. And this is the type of thing that makes people just afraid to go anywhere. If it's happening there, where can it not happen? So rest in peace to Marcus, man. And one thing, though, that I just want to say about those suburbs, a lot of the gentrification, one thing that's pushed guys out to other urban areas, like out in those suburbs. A lot of these people were, people from the city, and kind of brought the same thing with them. Now it's more dispersed, okay, and it's not as concentrated as it wasn't when it was in Chicago in the projects and stuff like that. But nevertheless, some of that same drama is still going on out there. So when somebody says that, they're from the suburbs, don't think that means they're from like a sweet area, because that's totally off.